oh goodness, it's tricky. So what I've attempted to do is to try and take all of my notes that I've collected over the years and just kind of give some highlights or some different structures that I've seen. But I would really love to open this up, kind of once I, kind of go through my little spiel around, what's working for you, or what have you put in place for comp plans, so that we can provide some good guidance, additional good guidance and advice to those MSPs that might be venturing into developing a sales process, a sales team, and looking for advice on this. So really, the goals of any compensation plan that's implemented, you want the company to be profitable and stay profitable, build recurring revenue for the business, and you want to make sure that you're also building it so that you're retaining, good experienced sales resources. And so a couple of items that you need to consider first, really, what type of sales role are you looking to fill? Who's going to be handling, the sales process? Are you looking at hiring someone for the inside sales function? Someone that can go find leads, book appointments for you as the business owner. Or are you looking at hiring someone for the outside sales function? Someone who's going to take that appointment, run with that lead, and kind of see it through all the way to the end to a new closed signed contract. Or are you looking for account managers? Those are who are going to manage kind of the long-term relationship after the sale, because each sales function is going to have a different comp plan assigned to it. So my recommendation is, if this is going to be your first salesperson for your MSP business, you've never done it before, so you're gonna, you now want to spin up a sales motion, I would focus on hiring an appointment setter first to do the cold calling into your target prospect base, and then have them focus on booking appointments and meetings for you as the MSP business owner, because a lot of the times it's been the MSP business owner that's been, kind of the sales person, that lone sales person up until this point. And I say this because I think as the business owner, in the beginning, you should remain the primary salesperson or remain in that sales role for now, but just hire someone that can make calls and help to kind of fill up your calendar with appointments so that you can take that piece off of your plate. Because, I'm going to assume that as the business owner, you're probably not doing a lot of your own outbound cold calling yourself, with all the other plates that you're probably spinning in the air at the moment. Because to hire a full-fledged MSP sales professional, that's going to be very expensive. A professional salesperson with MSP industry experience, they don't come cheap. And if you went with a professional salesperson, but they don't have MSP industry experience, it's going to take a while to kind of ramp that person up, especially if they're not familiar with the MSP industry. So to start, I do suggest, going out, trying to hire an entry-level telemarketer whose job is to just call into organizations that fit your target market and have them book meetings for you to attend. An entry-level telemarketer, they're not going to be that expensive to hire, and they don't necessarily need to know a whole lot about the MSP space. They really just need to have a good call script to go from, a good phone voice, good phone mannerisms, and then just have them being organized and that they book appointments for you. Because if you think about this, you as the business owner, you are your own best salesperson. You got your MSP business to this point, and so you're the most knowledgeable. You know the industry, so you really can be the best advocate for your services. So just hire a telemarketer, let them do the outbound calling and book appointments for you. And then once this telemarketer has gained experience and you see potential in them and you see them working out, then you can go and promote them at that point and then turn them into kind of the full-fledged salesperson and have them take over from you. And then you can go and backfill for them by going out and hiring another telemarketer to replace them. And then that's really kind of how you go about building a sales team for your MSP. And just going to put a plug here for a sec. I do host a boot camp that's entirely focused on cold calling. If you haven't attended it yet, I talk about how to review. I review how to kind of build out a telemarketing motion within your MSP. I provide call scripts, objection handling scripts, all kinds of good things. It's called Growing Beyond Referrals Through Cold Calling. Right now it is recorded and it is in the MSP Institute because I don't think it's actually on the live bootcamp schedule until about Q2 because I just delivered it a couple of weeks ago just before Thanksgiving. So saying that, how do you build a comp plan for your telemarketer motion if this is going to be kind of the first person that you bring into the sales org? And that's generally one of the big questions that I get. I'm going to hire a cold caller. How do I compensate them? So you want to pay them so that they're motivated to do the job well, which is going to serve to maximize the productivity and efficiency of your organization. There's a couple of different options that I've seen partners use to compensate their cold caller. One of the examples I heard is they don't pay an hourly wage, but they pay per dial. And I've seen it like $1.80 to $2 per dial. They pay per appointment that's booked. So $5 an appointment that's booked. And they pay per closed deal. So I've seen anywhere from $50 to $75 per closed deal. So they have a stake in the outcome. And this was really a comp plan for a part-time telemarketer that this particular partner told me about. They just needed somebody, 4 to 5 hours a week to kind of hit the phones and make calls. And so this is what they agreed upon with someone that agreed to do this on a part-time basis. Or if you're looking for something a little bit more formal, another comp plan structure that a partner told me about is they offer kind of a basic hourly wage, whatever it is in your area, or some sort of base salary. And then they add on a commission or a bonus for different milestones that are met throughout the month. So they get paid for each appointment that is made. So there's a milestone bonus for that. They receive a dial bonus if they hit their dial targets, for the whole month. And in my telemarketing motion, you can expect your telemarketer to be making, upwards of 1,000 dials a month. So if they hit their dials target, they get compensated by that. They also will provide a show bonus, meaning that if 75–80% of their appointments that are booked actually take place, so that you as the business owner or the outside account executive, those appointments actually take place, they get a bonus on that. They receive a closed deal bonus. So if the prospect eventually signs on as an MSP client, then they get a bonus of, I've heard 1% to 2% of the closed sale, and that's kind of an annualized number there. But this type of structure works really well to reward the activities of actually dialing and speaking to prospects and booking appointments, and then making sure that the prospect shows up for the appointment. That's really kind of the responsibilities of your telemarketer. So even if that deal doesn't close because maybe, you had some issues or it wasn't, your outside, salesperson, was struggling. So even if that deal doesn't close, you want to keep your telemarketer at least motivated by rewarding the right behaviors, because you want to protect, that lead gen team or that lead gen individual. And then also by implementing kind of a closed deal bonus as part of the commission structure, that works really well because, again, it's all about ensuring that we're rewarding the right types of behavior. You're basically rewarding your cold caller for connecting with prospects and booking appointments that align closely to your ideal client profile. Because the ultimate goal is you want to set your account exec up or yourself as the business owner for success by having your cold caller book appointments with qualified prospects. And then if that good qualified lead works out and it ends up turning into a closed deal, then you want to provide a bonus to reward that activity. And what we do here at Enable, because I did speak to one of our former inside sales managers, we use a base salary, but we use a point system. And so each of our SDRs, so we call them sales development representatives, so each of our SDRs, they have a points target of 26 points per month that they need to reach. And the points are based on size of the deal that's closed and if they meet their appointment target for the month. And if they do that, they receive, and they get all 26 points, then they receive a bonus on that. But really, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're avoiding commission-only compensation structures for a couple of big reasons. First, you will very quickly demotivate your cold caller because it could take weeks or even months to kind of get ramped up and for commissions to begin materializing. You know, they may quit on you if they feel that they're not getting paid quickly enough. And with a commission-only structure, you're putting the entire sales process and the entire closing responsibility on the shoulders of your cold caller. You know, you have them conducting almost like 100% of the sales process from prospecting to closing, all in that one brief phone call. And that's a lot of responsibility for a commission-only salesperson to take on. The most effective sales team, they split the prospecting from the closing responsibilities, and they put that between two different people or two different roles. You know, so the cold caller is really only tasked with, you know, making the call and booking the appointment, and then you as the business owner or the account executive, they take over, you take over once that appointment is made, and then you're the one that's responsible for leading the prospect through the remaining part of the sales funnel. So if you are, you know, so if you do have a telemarketer in place, you know, and maybe you're thinking you want to promote them into the outside sales role, or you just want to go out and maybe actually hire an outside account executive to handle your MSP sales process, then what would a comp plan look like for them? So before we even get into that, a couple of things that you want to determine first. So you want to determine your sales quota and what your targets are going to be for that outside sales executive. So, you know, how many deals do you want them closing each month? So in my example, you know, maybe you want them closing 5 to 6 deals each month. You know, how much revenue, net new MRR revenue, do you want them closing each month? You know, is it, you know, $2,500 net new MRR each month? And so that would really, you know, could be 5 deals at $500. And then you just put this into an annualized quota. So if it's $2,500 a month in net new MRR, then that equates to $30,000 a year in annualized revenue. So first, so you need to kind of make sure that you're setting your monthly target, you're setting quotas for your outside person to achieve. Then you want to work on setting activity targets to help them reach their sales targets. So, you know, we're going to assume like a 25% close ratio. Most good salespeople, you know, have between a 20-25% close ratio. So kind of working backwards with the math, it would mean that an outside sales exec would need to have scheduled and attend a minimum of 20 appointments, you know, with new prospects each month to reach that 25% close ratio, to get their 5, you know, new deals basically. And so from an inside sales perspective, they'll need to generate probably around 30-35 appointments each month for the outside salesperson, because you know that some appointments aren't going to be missed or they're going to need to be rescheduled. And then looking at the compensation structure, you know, once the quotas and once the targets have been met. And, you know, my belief is that the goal of creating a comp plan, you want to make sure that it's easy for you to understand, for your salesperson to understand. You know, I've been part of a lot of different comp plans over the years. You know, I've been account management, I've been sales, I've been channel sales, and then I've been back to account management. And I can say that I have been more motivated when the comp plan was simple, you know, when it was more basic, because I fully understood what I needed to do to earn my commissions. I felt that the more convoluted it got, you know, with the different equations and stuff, the motivation was much more difficult to muster up, because I didn't know how I was paid. So try and make it as simple as you can. So a typical MSP sales process is going to be a combination of a base salary plus a commissions component. So you need to determine, what is that variable component going to be, and talking to, again, different partners, talking, if anybody's familiar with David Weeks, he was our senior sales director when we worked together. He's now our senior sales director of partner experience and head of community. And he always said that an ideal compensation structure was around 60% variable for the commission aspect and then 40% salary. So you do want to put the weight of the comp plan on the variable commission side, because you do want it to be based on performance and the actual number of deals that are closed. But you don't want to make the comp plan too focused on just the variable side, because it may motivate the salesperson to partake in the wrong activities and cause them to sign the wrong types of customers for your MSP just to try and get the sale. And in the end, that's not going to be good for your MSP. So there is that definite balance that's going to be needed. But you want to make sure that the fixed portion is enough to provide, at least some sort of financial security and stability for the salesperson, which is going to mean, stability for your MSP. And I just took a poke around Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter the other day. Average base salaries, it looks like for MSP sales are, 49,000 to about 54,000 a year right now. And then I had one partner that told me that as they were spinning up their sales motion, they actually, to try and retain their salespeople, because it can be, a revolving door, they did offer to pay their new salesperson just full salary, for the first 6 to 12 months, because they wanted to allow time for the sales rep to kind of build up their pipeline and to take some of that sales pressure off of them in the beginning while they were ramping up, especially if they were new to the industry. And then once, there was evidence of reliable revenue streams coming into the business, then, they did set the expectations that they would shift to this new comp plan of salary plus commissions. So a couple of different comp plan structures that I've seen implemented by different partners throughout the years. The flat rate comp plan or the upfront payment comp plan. This is pretty simple to implement. So in this plan, you're basically paying a lump sum payment to the salesperson for any new managed services business that they sign on. And the nice thing is that it allows the salesperson to get their compensation pretty quickly, soon after the deal closes. So one of the examples that a partner shared with me is that they provide 10% of each sale, kind of annualized. That's their commission. So if they sell $1,000 a month plan, that's a $12,000 a year client. At 10%, that's $1,200. So that's their commission for closing that deal. Or the MSP pays commission based on the value of the first month's MRR contract and use that as their commission. So if they sign a $500 a month MRR contract, then that salesperson gets $500 as his commission for that deal. And then I've had a couple of partners, kind of tell me about a tiered approach that they use. Admittedly, I think it's a little bit more complex to implement, but they've told me that it helped to kind of drive production and actually drive overproduction so that they get more, more business from that outside salesperson. And the idea is that the more business they bring in, the more they get paid. So it really helps and works and motivates that sales rep to build a pipeline. And so if you do a tiered approach, you can look at doing quarterly payouts instead of monthly. So some sample structure, 5 gates. So again, using my monthly sales quota of 30,000 annualized, so it'd be 90,000 annualized from a quarterly perspective. So the first gate of 18,000, they get paid 4%. The second gate, the next 18,000, they get paid 6%. The next 18, they get paid 6.5. The next 18, they get paid 7. And then the last 18 or more, they get paid 7.5. So, this partner said, the total quarterly payout would be almost $5,600 if the salesperson kind of met those gates. Another example that I was given by another partner, they had a little bit lower of a quarterly quota. So they had a 45,000 annualized quota per quarter, but they still use kind of the 5 gates approach. So the first 10, they paid 8, the second 10, they paid 9, the third 10, they paid 11, the fourth 10, they paid 13, and then the last 5, and then anything above that, they paid 15%. And so totally quarterly compensation, if they hit all of those gates, would be $4,850. So just a couple of examples there. And then, to help build a book of business, you may want to consider adding in a renewal component as well, for the second, third, fourth year, to maintain retention rates and avoid customer churn, because you don't want to go and now lose all the business in subsequent years after you work so hard to win that business in the first place. Kind of going back to the Paul Dipple from Service Leadership, that stat that I always think of, that it costs $23,000 to bring on a brand new customer. So that's a lot of money when you think about it. So you don't want that customer leaving you for your competitor. So in addition to the comp plan, by building in kind of a renewal component, you're creating almost like another income stream, for the outside sales rep. So you may look at, year 2 and beyond, if the client renews, I've heard anywhere from 1 to 3% payout, for that outside salesperson if they renew. So for a $12,000 a year client at 2%, it results in an additional $240 in renewal revenue bonus that gets added up into their paycheck. And so then I also took this question to our operational effectiveness expert, Dave Wilkinson. If anybody's attended any of Dave's boot camps or his own office hours that he's done in the past, he's from MSP Advisor. He used to be an MSP himself. He sold it, and now he has a consulting firm. So he works with us here at Enable on the community side. But he also works with other MSPs, kind of helping them to improve their own MSP practice. So he provided me some of his insights and his take on things. So based on sales compensation, total sales commissions, it should be less than 4% of revenue. And he feels that no more than 50% of the salesperson's pay should be coming from the base salary. So it aligns to what, I've talked about earlier, where the optimal mix, or what David was actually mentioning, the optimal mix being 60% variable and 40% base. He recommends the MSP contract commission structure as well, kind of keeping it simple and making it based on the first month's bill. But he's also assuming that this is going to be at least a 24-month contract. So that may be something else that you may want to consider, having longer term contracts. That's, I think, kind of a debate in and of itself. He also believes that there should be no residual payouts on MSP contracts ever. He was a little adamant on this one. He feels that you only want to incentivize new logo sales of managed contracts, because he feels then if you allow residual payouts, kind of post-sale, he feels that the sales rep will eventually begin to slack off, and they'll begin to get used to and just begin relying on the residual commissions instead. But there's a little caveat to that. This is really only a valid statement if you also happen to have the account management motion in play as well within your MSP. So if your MSP has separate account managers that are separate from the hunters, so you kind of have your separate hunters and your separate farmers, then your farmers are the ones that handle the cross-selling, upselling of new products and services. And they would be the ones that would then receive, kind of any of the commissions or residuals from that. But if the salesperson, does happen to play a dual role, so they're the account manager, they're the hunter as well as the farmer, then Dave does feel that you can pay out commissions of incremental sales on professional services, hardware, software sales, and when that contract renews. He also recommends only paying commission once that customer payment is received, but it's managed services, so ideally you're getting paid at the beginning of the month. So maybe once that first payment comes in, that spools up your commission structure.